can I do? 'Cause I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just a pair of lips that I've lost in the moment. All I want is for you to come back. Now I'm caught in the middle of life, and I need you to survive.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. I'm your host, your brother, and your friend. And I just want to say this, take this time out before Larry joins us. I immediately after the show, Alex Trainer hit me up. He said, man, I apologize. It was a mix up of scheduling. And Larry is in the booth. I'm about to bring him on. But Alex and I will be doing a makeup show probably tomorrow or something. I see you with your shirt on, my man. How's it going?
Hey, man. I got that's for my Africa theme.
Larry,
boycott Mondays. Where you're not doing a very good job of it. You're here. You're not boycotting.
Well, Larry, what's up with your president, man? What is up with this guy, and what is your team?
I think he's 80 years old and losing touch with reality. He's still got enough brain matter going to understand that the United States is in big trouble if they don't get the oil flowing. In fact, even now, if they get the oil flowing, it's not going to stop the United States from having a minor economic crisis.
I know this because he said one time the reason that he stopped the war or tried to come to an agreement with Iran is because there was only 4 weeks of oil left. Before things became catastrophic. With all of the war planners and all of the different departments in the military and the intelligence services, they did not foresee this because this is what they get paid to do.
Well, apparently, you would assume so, but what I've heard differently. What I've heard is that Trump, according to Robert Barnes, had been told several times, but he just wasn't listening until recently. Apparently, it was oil executives that came in and gave him the bad news. It's not oil in general. It's what they call the mid-level distillates, the heavy crude, which let's say I have a barrel of oil, about 30% of it is diverted to produce either diesel fuel or kerosene jet fuel. Mm-hmm. So diesel and jet fuel, they're not the same. And it's not like you say, oh, we got this much oil, so we'll use half of it for diesel and half of it for, it's not, well, if you have a set amount, you can divide and say, okay, we'll refine this amount for this and this amount for that. But that's the problem. You end up having to make some choices because you can't. You're drawing from, let's say, you're drawing from a fixed stock, and if the demand in both goes up, you got to make a choice. Who's going to get the bulk? How best to describe it? It's like, okay, so if you got two 8-year-olds, the kids, and they each want to eat a hamburger, okay, and you've got 2 hamburgers, okay, so you can feed them both. Now all of a sudden they're 8 years old, or they're 16. Now you still got the same amount of hamburger meat. You can make a total of 2. Well, they're now 16. They each want 2 apiece. Now you got to make a choice. You can either deprive them both, or you can give one what they need, and the other one's going to be without. That's sort of what's happened now with this conundrum with these med distillates. And when they look at the strategic oil reserves, they're going to be out in 4 weeks. So, and And you say, well, we'll just go buy some more. Well, there ain't any more to buy, okay? It's all sitting over there in the Persian Gulf, not coming out. But we're already buying everything that's possible out there. So this is what we said. There's 20% gone. So that's the problem.
Well, Larry, what is this about him talking about taking over the Strait of Hormuz and charging a 20% fee for anyone? Do you, even if he could take over the Strait of Hormuz, which is very doubtful, do you think Russia or China would pay him a 20% fee for their ships going in and out of the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, no, but you said it yourself. They've had the chance. U.S. is, what the hell was the U.S. doing for the last 4 months? Not trying to take over the Strait of Hormuz? They tried. They couldn't. We have no military capability to take over the Strait of Hormuz without suffering losses that we're not willing to suffer. So it's as simple as that. We can bullshit ourselves, but the reality is we can't do it. And so him making that kind of threat right now, please don't be ridiculous. Not you, but
So what
about
is
him.
all of this? I understand. So what is all of this saying about the economic situation? I want to play a clip for you. It's about a 14-second clip, and I just want you to listen to this.
The Fed, the interest on the debt was only $300 billion in 2021-22. Now we're 1.1 trillion, and so the Fed can't admit it, but they really don't have much room to hike at all.
It went off. I don't know what happened. They cut the clip from I don't know what. But anyway, the guy was talking about the U.S. having $1.2 trillion of interest payments on the debt.
Right.
Right now, the United States is paying roughly $3 billion a day on interest payments. How is that sustainable? And even if this is a war economy, how can America continue to do that without an economic collapse at home and abroad?
Well, you can inflate it, and in the inflation, wipe that debt out. Now it doesn't cause necessarily an economic collapse. It does cause a lot of pain for certain segments of the economy, particularly people in the middle class. I lived in Argentina during 1984. Got there just at the very start, literally like January 1st, January 2nd. And that was the start of an era called hyperinflación, hyperinflation. And I saw what happened in particular to a dear friend of mine. His name was Alberto Paredes, and Beto was a baker. And he was a successful baker. He made the pastries that when you get on Aerolíneas Argentina, the Argentine airline, and they'd come down the aisle and serve coffee and pastry. Those were his pastries. And it was such, he was able to buy himself like a brand new, I think he bought Chevrolet trucks, big ass Chevrolet trucks back then. And, he was a solidly upper middle class, and he was building a new bakery with his house part of it. And he sold let's say a $1 million or million peso piece of property to build his house. And with this hyperinflation, when it came along, when he sold his house, he forgot to pay the tax on it, and they indexed the unpaid tax to the inflation rate. And when they finally got the bill was twice what he had sold his house for. That was just the tax. So he ultimately ended up going bankrupt and losing his home. He and his wife got divorced. He remarried. I visited him with his second wife. He had 3 kids, but man, they were living in like a 2-bedroom house with 3 kids. I mean, it was tough. That's what could happen here in the United States. The wealthy do fine. Wealthy are, hey, no problem. They may have to hire more security guards, whatever. The poor, man, they're already used to living without. So, what's new? It's those in the middle class that they just get crushed. So that's one of the outcomes of this. So Trump admitted that within 4 weeks we're going to be facing a major oil shortage or fuel shortage. So we won't have enough diesel. It'll be a choice between diesel and air fuel, and you have to make a choice. So I suspect. I hate to predict that because airline industry probably has more money than the trucking industry, but the trucking industry is more essential to keeping people alive. So this is, we're in for some tough times, and it's, when you try to game this out, it's not just the shortage of the oil and how it translates into the reserves running down, because the oil and the strategic reserves, we don't look, as I mentioned earlier, you don't look at the total amount, you look at that segment which belongs to the heavy crude element, and then you calculate, okay, what are we looking at here? How long will that last, and can we refill it? See, that's the other issue. Let's see. I was trying to look up the light crude versus. Is that there? No, hang on for a second. Let me pull this statistic up. I don't have it at the tip of my tongue. Okay, there we go. So you've got this. The amount of light crude exceeds the amount of the heavy crude, but it's the heavy crude from where, the light crude is like, let's call that's like popcorn. You go to a movie, you buy popcorn, you eat that, you consume it. Whereas the diesel, it's like the fuel that keeps the air conditioner on in the movie theater. And so it keeps the planes flying, it keeps the trucks rolling. It's not a consumable, man. It's an essential ingredient in the production process.
So Larry, with that saying, there's going to be some stark choices that have to be made. And it seems like to me that both Joe Biden and Donald Trump were very derelict in their duties, because Joe Biden started emptying the strategic oil reserves, and Trump gets in and he did not even have the common sense to fill them back up, and then to go into a war with Iran. So is this proving now that the U.S. has no strategic thinkers and adults as leaders?
Correct. Yes, we don't. They're just sort of making it up as they go along.
God, I mean, but you say inflate the debt away. Wouldn't that be a catch-22 for the United States also? Because if they inflated the debt away, it would also destroy the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency.
Well, that won't necessarily destroy the world, its status as a petrodollar, the reserve currency. But in fact, right now, what we're seeing is the dollar is strengthening, and as it gets stronger, that is, countries like Japan, South Korea, anybody that has, that has debt in U.S. dollars, they're having to pay more debt. So that's one of the problems here. So it is, that in and of itself won't necessarily affect the United States status in terms of the reserve currency. But to the extent that you see countries, an increasing number of countries are selling U.S. treasuries, not buying them. And if they're buying anything, they're buying gold. They're not buying U.S. treasury bills. So the United States is sort of losing its status.
Are we going back to war?
I don't think so. At least not with Iran. I think we're still pulling our people out. We're starting to send planes back to the United States. So the more you send back, the less resources you have in place to go back on the attack. So I think Trump, he now recognizes that war would be the least of our concerns if the economic hit we're going to take. He said it 4 weeks. So I don't think he was just making up numbers.
So what does that tell us about American hegemony globally? And because if America is forced to capitulate to the demands of Iran, which they should, and we see America pulling her troops out of West Asia, and her military bases destroyed over there, and she's no longer the so-called protector and vanguard of the nation over there. What kind of effect will that have on American power and position and influence the world over?
Well, again, that's just what kind of power does that show? What is the meaning of power in the international realm? That you can make some other country surrender, do what they don't necessarily want to do, but you can compel them to do so. Well, look at the United States. We could not compel the Houthis to open freedom of navigation in the Red Sea, and we have certainly been unable to force Iran to do what we claim we want them to do. So the reality, what these events have shown, starting with dealing with the Houthis in May, the Operation Rough Rider, then the 12-day war with Iran. It was primarily Israel, but we joined in at the rear. And then this latest, let's call it the Ramadan War, that lasted, the fighting lasted roughly 46 days until a ceasefire was declared. It showed the limits of U.S. power. And so it's not a matter of the United States having power and just not using it. It's a matter of the United States thought it had power that it doesn't have. That's the big difference.
But do you think, let's look at patterns here. Whenever America does something stupid, and whenever we think that this stupid lesson that she may learn from, she doubles and triples down on that.
Wait,
and it shows the world that she
wait a second. That America has learned something? Okay, man, you gotta explain that one. Show me the learning.
See, this is what I'm saying. Everybody think that there can be no war because of the oil prices, because of the economic crisis. I believe that it may be a war because of those things, because America she's caught in a catch-22. The Western world is declining. America's economy is in trouble. There's a class warfare going on. There is the government is becoming more and more authoritarian. They're spending $3 billion a day when HUD's own estimate said that $20 billion could eradicate homelessness, and another 20 to 30 billion could eradicate hunger. So instead of investing $50 billion and making it the home front straight, they invest $1.5 trillion more in the War Department. So the stupidity, the ignorance is unmatched. So I think that they will double down and triple down again because they haven't shown a pattern where they won't.
Yeah, we're like, if you had a kid that you said, okay, Larry, don't touch the hot stove. Ah, it's hot. I told you don't touch the hot stove. Ah, it's hot. When you keep doing the same damn thing over and over, there's no learning going on, okay? And what is the same damn thing that we keep doing over and over, starting small wars, projecting force overseas, and at the end we achieve nothing. And so some said that's the definition of insanity, and it was attributed to Albert Einstein, but actually they've been unable to corroborate that. But if you do the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome, and so that's us. That's the United States. We by that definition, you could claim we have an insane foreign and defense policy because we continue to do the same thing over and over, expecting a different outcome, but we keep getting the same outcome, and we keep being surprised. Going, damn, that stove's hot. How is that? Let me see. Oh, it's still hot. Turn off the gas.
See, Larry, you're thinking about the livelihood of the American Republic.
Right.
But those people in power, the war hawks, the think tanks, they're thinking about prestige. They're thinking about domination. They're thinking about exceptionalism. And they have become inebriated on what America used to be able to do. And I don't think that they are willing to give that up, and they're willing to burn the world down and rule over the ashes if necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's we got different the United States is caught in a bind. We continue we continue to see ourselves as slim and athletic and handsome, and we don't look, but we failed to look in the mirror and realize that we look like Jabba the Hutt. Okay, so it's good to have a good self-image, but you also have to have a little bit. You be grounded in reality, and we're certainly not grounded in much reality right now.
So will that push the with all of the stuff that is coming due? You and I talked about it a while ago. With all of this stuff coming due, the shortages and everything, will we have an economic problem at home like we've never had before?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
In the last
I think so. I mean, I've heard some liken it. It'll be akin to the Great Depression of the 1930s. So I sure hope it doesn't come to that. And it'd be nice to be wrong, to say, boy, we thought it could be really bad, but it turned out not to be. But this is, you just look at it's not one thing. It's like with the 2008 financial crisis. So basically that was a bunch of bad bets that people made on the housing market. And they through the derivatives market, they were able to run those debts up and up and up and up to the point that almost crashed the financial system. Well, here you've got derivative bets being made on oil and on liquid natural gas and on sulfur and on urea and on helium. So it's not just one. It's not just it's a whole spectrum. And the effects that kick in, come at different moments. Like right now we could be at an oil shortage. We don't see the consequences of urea, of a fertilizer shortage, until they try to do a harvest in, say, October. And, nothing, we've lost half of the supply of food that we were used to having.
Yeah. I see that I was doing some reading, and they were saying that some of the farmers are having bad harvest seasons because they can't get the fertilizer. Um, uh, if, when the gas prices really start kicking in, and when the shortages start, um, do you believe that there will be rioting on the streets? Because it's one thing for you to be hungry, but it's another thing for your 3 or 4 kids to be hungry.
Yeah, I don't know. I think certainly it's certainly possible. Definitely, we can't dismiss that out of hand. That there would be that kind of effect. But you know, it's something we ought to be aware of anyway.
And last question before I let you go, Larry, because you've been doing quadruple duty today. When this thing, how long do you predict before we start seeing it and it starts really touching us? We see it right now in the stores with the shrinkflation and all of that stuff. But how long do you think before we start really feeling it?
I take Donald Trump at his word. 4 weeks. So we got next week, then the following weekend's 4th of July. Then so around about let's see, around about 18 July.
Oh my God. Man, thank you, Larry, for joining me and for giving me the time, because I know you were busy today and you fit me into the schedule. Thank you so much.
Hey man, I always make time for you. You know, yeah. I hope you don't think I'm one of these, you know, self-important pricks who just, oh, I have time for the little people.
I'm gonna have next time. I'm gonna have to get me one of the shirts to wear on, so we'll both be matching.
Yeah,
but
man.
Thank you so much, Larry. I'll see you in the video.
Well, all right, brother. You take care. Bye.
All right, be blessed, everybody. Listen, in about 15 minutes, we'll have Dimitri Lascaris on the other platform. So come back in about 15 minutes. I want hit the like button, subscribe, tell others about the platform, and we're going to be doing another show with Alex Craner soon. I already talked to him right after the show. So everything is cool. Everybody listen, do right by others, not because there's some material gain to be had or some accolades to be had, but do right by others because it's the right, the humane, and the godly thing to do. Because even when no one else is watching you, remember that God Almighty is watching you. As my late, great, and beautiful mother would always say, God sits high on the throne of power, but he looks low at the actions of man. Know that I love each and every one of you who loves truth, but know that the love that I have for you will always pale in comparison to the love that God has for you. Until we next speak again, stay strong, stay true, but above all things, remember this, stay righteous, because righteousness is the only thing that's going to get us out of here. Hey, mama, your baby boy still loves you more than life. Deuces, everybody. Thank you. Peace.
Told you to walk away. That was my first and last mistake. I'm blue without your face. But what can I do? 'Cause I'm just